I'm fascinated, as a female who has worked in this industry for so long, how surprised or perhaps even disheartened how long it has taken for sort of accountability to be asked of the CEO here.
Yeah, completely unsurprised, unfortunately. This is something that has been a systemic problem in gaming now since as long as I've been in it, so for 20 years. I think that what I'm encouraged to see is just the growing chorus of voices who are demanding more than just saying, I will take a pay cut and we have zero tolerance, and then the employees not seeing any difference inside their organization.
Yeah, exactly. So is there change afoot, do you think? Is it going to be loss of talent that really makes a change of a culture internally?
I don't think, unfortunately, it will be loss of talent. I do think that the drop that we're seeing in Activision's share price, specifically over the last couple of days, the recent calls by PlayStation and Xbox, I think are very, very sobering, hopefully, to Activision and to their board of directors, that this is not just something that is going to go away. This is something that is going to continue until real change is made inside the organization.
The very systemic issue of this, Jessica, and give us your experience here, having for so long built a very successful business within gaming and also served prior to that within the gaming industry and built such, success stories. How much does the issue be pervasive when female gamers in and of themselves have a problem penetrating the space as well, if now we see it from a professional level with esports?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been, as I mentioned, a problem for as long as I can remember. I remember going to or hearing about conferences where, there was a lot of drinking and women were made to feel uncomfortable. Obviously, if you just look at the statistics of the number of executives in large gaming companies or most gaming companies who are women, it's very, very small. My company is unfortunately the exception to that rule. 50% of our executive team is female, 35% of our entire staff is female. And I think that comes partly from the fact that they know that at Arkadium it's going to be a different culture, and that's just not necessarily, unfortunately, a culture that has been embraced in some of the other gaming companies. My hope is that that will change. I think it has to change because our customers are women. 50% of our customers are women, especially in casual games. This is worldwide. So you're serving a customer, and yet internally you don't have a representation of that customer on your staff. That's a problem.
I mean, look, I'm acutely aware that we're two women here discussing this, but there are, of course, men who have been particularly supportive of females within the gaming space. And of course, you co-founded your business with your husband. There is one. I mean, talk to us about what male focus has been within the system and how they've been helping to a certain extent in the last year or so.
Yeah, well, I think that the recent letters by Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan of Xbox and PlayStation to their staff saying that they are taking this seriously as a partner of Activision, and they're looking into this and they care about this and they will not tolerate this kind of misconduct is a very, very encouraging sign for the industry.
What about, as we keep on now currently talk about the prevalence, the importance of gaming within Web 3.0, within the metaverse in particular, and there is a worry, I see it when you look at the crypto space, NFTs as well, that we need to ensure that some of the negative side of what's been built so far within technology. And we're not just talking about lack of diversity in terms of women, but people of color, of all manners of what your sexual preferences are. How are you ensuring that the next iteration of the internet, the next iteration of gaming doesn't go that way, that we can ensure that we reduce bias in all its forms?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I don't have high hopes right now for what will likely take place in the metaverse, at least in the initial iterations of it. And obviously, gaming is leading the way in the metaverse. Things like Roblox and Minecraft have already been kind of early, I think, views of what people are going to be experiencing in the future. I think it's going to be quite some time before people are just like walking around in goggles. I think we've got a little time before that happens. And, these systems that are already pre-existing need to be very heavily kind of policed by community people, and they tend to go in not great directions in terms of harassment and lack of diversity and lack of inclusion. For my small piece of the puzzle, all I can do is control my own organization, and the player avatars that we have on in our mobile games and on Arkadium.com represent all ages, all diversities, genders. So we're trying to do our part to ensure that our little slice of gaming at least is a little bit more representative of how we'd like to see the gaming world at large.
Talk to us about ages, because you have 3 sons, I believe, as well. How are we looking to protect children in the next iteration of gaming as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, my company focuses on older adults, so we focus on a 35 plus market. So I definitely feel a little bit differently about my customers, and then I feel differently when I'm watching my son's game. But I will say that there are companies that are doing this really well. I think Roblox is an example of that, as a company that's taken their community and the protection of the children in that community very seriously, and I think have been kind of chosen as an example for places like Facebook that have maybe not done as good a job in policing the kinds of talk on their platforms.
Jessica, just for any startup entrepreneur who's listening, anyone looking to be changing the culture or looking at the culture of the business they're building, are there any sort of tangible pieces of advice, things that you and indeed your husband did, to ensure that people knew it would be an enjoyable, inclusive culture as and when they moved to Arkadium?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've always taken a people-first approach to the building of our business. Our employees come first. We know if our employees are happy and fulfilled and growing, that's going to come through in the products they're creating. That's going to make customers happy, and that's eventually going to affect the bottom line positively. So it's not that hard to act with integrity, to genuinely care about people, and to want them to do well professionally and personally. And I think when you do that, it comes through in your actions, it comes through in your policies, it comes through in your one-off discussions when you're having lunch with someone, and it just kind of builds on that.